Here's a number for you. There are more than 212,000 miles of railroad track. You think that's worldwide? Nope. That's just here in the United States. Think about that. That's enough to wrap around the entire planet almost 9 times. Let me bring it home for you. That's also enough to crisscross back and forth the entire country over 70 times. With that much track and as many people and vehicles as we have, we're naturally going to have to work together to be able to move the things that we want to have moved while still being able to get around ourselves. Our paths are going to cross a lot. So when you see tracks, you need to think train. The See Tracks Think Train campaign was launched by an unprecedented partnership of railroad, transit, and safety officials from a variety of companies, organizations, and regions.
Safety is our top priority at the Federal Railroad Administration, and by virtually every measurement, 2013 was the safest year in the rail industry's history. But there's one noted exception, and that is the persistent problem of accidents and deaths at grade crossings and from illegal trespassing. While accidents and injuries are down over the past decade by nearly 50%, 96% of all the deaths in the railroad industry are caused by grade crossing accidents and trespassing. Since 2012, there's been a 5% increase in grade crossing accidents, with nearly 1,200 people killed or injured, and nearly another 900 killed or injured due to illegal trespassing. These statistics paint a tragic picture, and what's most tragic is that these accidents, injuries, fatalities are preventable. The public too often just doesn't realize how dangerous being on or near railroad tracks are, or how long it takes a train to stop. FRA is proud to continue its partnership with Operation Lifesaver and to support its new campaign, See Tracks, Think Train. It's such a fundamental premise, but a message that's so important to remind the public of the dangers on and near railroad property and at rail grade crossings. The message will save lives.
People exhibiting unsafe behavior around train tracks is a problem across the country, from pedestrians and commuters to professional drivers, and often the result is catastrophic. That's why the Association of American Railroads joined with Operation Lifesaver to develop the See Tracks, Think Train campaign. Our goal is to reverse the tide of these incidents, and we found the best way to do this is through outreach and education. Our nation's railroads want communities to be safe. In addition to our own education efforts, we look for ways to partner with community organizations for safety outreach. That's why we're proud to be a driving force behind the See Tracks, Think Train campaign.
The See Tracks Think Train campaign is brought home by the real-life experiences of our 2 campaign spokespersons.
I was walking through a field and I came upon some train tracks. And on the train tracks there was a train and it was stopped. I decided to walk along the train and go around it. And as I was walking along it, I tripped and reached out with my arm, and my sleeve got hooked on the train. Right at that moment, the train started moving, and I was panicking. I was trying to stand up quickly. The wheel just dragged me totally under the train. When the train passed over me and I was laying there and I looked at my left leg, it was pretty much gone. Laying on those tracks, I didn't think I was gonna wake up the next morning. Even after the ambulance arrived, I thought there was no chance I was gonna make it. It's important the public hears my story so they know that it can happen to anyone. Using railroad tracks as a shortcut is not worth it at all, because maybe you get, free and clear one time, 2 times, 1,000 times, but there's just one time where you just, cause you to either change your life or it can kill you very easily.
Rail incidents affect entire communities, the families of those affected, engineers and train crews, law enforcement and first responders, and all those who live or work in the surrounding areas where an incident took place. Train engineers and conductors are often the last ones to see a person alive before an incident, and often the first ones on the scene of the aftermath. One of our spokespeople is a train engineer, and he made the decision to use his experience as a teaching tool for a variety of law enforcement, professional driver, and general public audiences.
My name is Russ Fletcher. I'm a locomotive engineer with Kansas City Southern Railroad. I work out of Pittsburgh, Kansas. Some of the changes that's happened over the years, continuous welded rail. People are really surprised by how quiet a train can be. And if that train's not whistling, if that train's in a section of track that doesn't require a whistle, they're very quiet. And if the wind is blowing a certain direction, that makes it even more quiet. So people who are walking on the tracks, which they shouldn't be, with the wind at their back, or earbuds, can be totally oblivious to what's coming up behind them. 18,000-ton train that they literally cannot hear.
Those are just a few examples of why we are speaking out, to bring home the grim reality of what these incidents can mean to the public. Not just to show what can happen, but more importantly, to show how we can avoid these dangerous situations in the first place. We at FTA are proud to join the C-Tracks Think Train campaign. This is coming at an especially critical time for transit. Last year, we had the highest ridership since 1957, and it was the 7th year in a row that our ridership exceeded 10 billion trips nationally. As transit systems expand their service to meet this demand, the public is likely to see trains more often in their neighborhoods. We are talking about subways, light rail, commuter rail, freight rail, all of which runs at different times and schedules, which you may not know. In some cities, streetcars are making a comeback, giving more reason for drivers and pedestrians alike to be cautious.
The C-Tracks Think Train campaign is being launched all across the country as it rolls out gradually from region to region. ST3 public outreach activities will be held at events like state fairs and baseball games. Television and radio stations will play our PSAs. Transit agencies will place our ads in their stations, at bus shelters, and on their train cars. And ST3 billboards will be placed along highways around the country. The campaign also has a robust online and social media life through our dedicated microsite, ctracksthinktrain.org. All of these activities will help Operation Lifesaver connect to a larger audience than we can through our traditional face-to-face activities.
At Operation Lifesaver, the safety message has always been the very core of the organization. Here's one last number I'd like to give you to think about. 3. What is 3? It means 3 hours. Every 3 hours, a person or vehicle is hit by a train. Every 3 hours. So now that you've seen some of the numbers, let's think about how we can lower the number of train incidents for all of us. And that lets you look out for number 1. Because when you see tracks, think train.